Air travel is an issue that affects, if not all Nigerians, but majority of Nigerians who prepare faster routes to their destinations as they plan to travel home for the holidays as the Yuletide season approaches. The question is, are you one of those who is looking to travel possibly to Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, or whichever state, and you're afraid of using the road? Well, let's tell you that domestic airfares on major Nigerian routes have skyrocketed, some by as much as 150% just weeks before the Yuletide season. One-way tickets on certain south and southeast routes are now crossing the 300,000 naira mark. Yes, you heard that right. 300,000 naira for a one-way ticket from Lagos to Owerri or Port Harcourt.
Airline operators are blaming the surge on a cocktail of factors: high festive demand, aircraft shortages, and persistent operational challenge. But what does this mean for the average Nigerian traveler? And is this just seasonal economics or symptom of deeper dysfunction in our aviation sector? Join us this morning for this very important discussion is publisher, CEO, Aviators Africa, Toni Ukachukwu. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Ukachukwu, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to always be here. Thank you.
I mean, from the last image we showed, that was 400,000 naira for a one-way fare. I mean, I don't think it's ever been at this high to fly domestically. We're looking at $250 about for a flight that is less than an hour, a domestic flight. Anywhere in the world, that will be high. The reasons given by the airlines, blaming it on aircraft shortages and high festive demand, are they tenable? And can something be done about this? Because it's very ridiculous. They're pricing people out of. It's way above the pricing of many Nigerians.
So thank you very much. I like the word you used, pricing out people, because even before this surge, people were already priced out. I mean, the situation where you have less than, as I always say, less than 10% of the population of over 200 million fly by air. Just 10% at the regular price we're having it. Now that means a whole lot of people will be outpriced. But we didn't just get here. There's a whole lot of issues. It's a complex situation, from policy, from regulation, from operation, and then of course from fund itself. So it's a combination of various factors, and I think as we go on we're able to unbundle this. But that's reality right now, and it wasn't like we didn't see it coming. I had already spoken about this when I talked about overview of 2025 aviation sector for the year. I talked about towards the end of the year, we're going to have issues like this. There's going to be surges, there's going to be Harmattan haze, there's going to be cancellations, there's going to be a lot of disruptions. They are not new, but we need to begin to deal with these issues and the factors that give rise to
but why is it that the consumers have to bear the brunt of every other thing that doesn't have to do with them? So
like every business, I mean, the owner of the business has to look for a way to pass down the burden, to pass down the cost, so he or she, the business stays, afloat. In this case, the passengers, unfortunately, bear the brunt of all the issues that the airline operators are facing. They have to pass it down to the customer, who is the passenger. So it's normal.
People, a lot of us are afraid that when it starts like this, because they say what goes up in Nigeria surely doesn't come down. Is this really going to come down? Can we really say that this is as a result of the influx of IJGB? Because, for those who are, for want of definition, I just got back. Those who are just coming in to spend the holiday from the abroad. Is the price going to come down at any point? That's one. Secondly, there's also this 11%, that has been added to security and so on and so forth. Let's touch on the 11% first, and then let's later on touch on if the price will eventually come down. Is there hope on that?
So the price surge right now has nothing to do with the 11%. The 11% just kicked in December 1st, and is basically for international operators, international airlines, not for domestic. However, there are other taxes and surcharges that are already causing so much burden on the domestic carriers. Talking about whether this price will come down, I can tell you for a fact that except the conditions that give rise to this price at this period is solved, every December, every festive period, end of the year, the prices will surge to this amount. It's been happening for the last few years.
Is it peculiar to Nigeria alone, or it's
peculiar to Nigeria, and it's peculiar to particular destinations. So these fares are just made largely south, and southeast. Okay, so if you're flying to the north from Lagos, it's about 100, 120, 150.
Yeah, because yesterday I got a ticket to Abuja for 140.
Yeah,
140. There's a lesser one for 125. And you're right. The moment another person who was with me wanted to say, okay, you know what? Let me go to Port Harcourt first, and it was different. And I'm like, why?
Yeah. So from Lagos to Asabo, Benin, there's just barely 40 minutes. The minimum is 300,000. And then of course, if you're doing Abuja or maybe Kano, there's about Abuja 15 minutes, Kano about a little bit over 1 hour. It's still about 125, 140. So when you're going up north, it's normal. Nothing affects it. Again, just like you talked about, I just got back people. So this is giving rise to a whole lot of people during the festival go down south, south, southeast, and then of course the surge. But just to give clarity to what is happening, it's not like the airline operator just want to. I have an issue about the imbalance, but again, the airline operators are really suffering for want of more information. Most of their aircraft are abroad for maintenance. They have capacity issues, a whole lot of capacity issues. For example, Airfares, almost 10 of their aircraft are in maintenance handlers in different places across the world. And just recently, they kind of released some aircraft to mitigate this issue in this period. But
to keep the business
running, going. But the lessors just withdrew the aircraft they leased for no reason, and they are battling $38 million loss at Airfares as we speak. So if you want to just give clarity, Airfares was looking to how to mitigate these issues and have capacity, because usually every Christmas there's capacity issue. There's capacity issue because the influx is just massive.
I mean, the aviation sector is very capital intensive, and it's not easy for the players looking at the environment in which they're operating. But let's look at the low-hanging fruits. ICAO and IATA, I think they mentioned that we pay some of the highest taxes, aviation taxes. These are low-hanging fruits. These are things that are within the control of the government. Is there any way they can, like this body of aviation, the industry, the players there can negotiate with the government to at least bring it down to a reasonable level?
I think to a higher degree.
Or they've not been having that discussion? To
a higher degree, it comes from policy level. There has to be an understanding of why the aviation industry exists in the first place. Okay, if you have that understanding, then that will kind of give you clarity on how you should go about this. The multi-taxation that is happening right now in the sector shouldn't be. NAMA will come with their fares, their taxes. FAN will come with their taxes. SCA, everybody taxing the airline, and they want to tax them out. And even though the airlines, like they say, get for body, they have their own issues. The operating environment is difficult.
Very,
very difficult. The operating environment is difficult. And I don't want to be a doomsday prophet, but we are going to see in the coming days, you're going to see a whole lot of disruptions, a whole lot of cancellations. The airports will be packed. There will be so much confusion because of these capacity issues and the operating environment. So these are the issues that that has to be dealt with. So FAN has its own role to play to make sure that facilitation at the airport are seamless. Nigerian Airspace Management makes to make sure that again, there was something that we were working on before. I don't know where it is now, where we are looking at when there are disruptions like this, airline will come and say operational reasons. And we work with some people to kind of give clarity to this. Don't just tell passengers
everything as operational reasons.
Who is at fault? Is it FAN? Did the carousel at the airport break down? Is there VIP movement? What is that? Is it weather? What is that? Don't just put everything on that. Passengers, if I pay you money, I have a right to know. But again, these are the issues. So there are so many issues that need to be tackled.
On this job, we talk to people in our industries. Just recently, the resident doctors called off their strike, and Joe and I would always open our mouths and say, wow, these guys are going through a lot. And when we talk to the lecturers, ASU, we open our mouths and say, wow, these guys are going through a lot. And then we're speaking to an aviation expert, and you open your mouth, and there just seems to be multiple layers of problems, and you don't know where to start from. But this administration has reached a 2-year mark. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, a lawyer by training, was appointed to lead that ministry. And we've seen a little bit of movements here and there. There was an air show just recently, Nigerian air show that happened recently. And also, he made that announcement, very bold announcement, of the transformation of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Beyond that, how would you assess the Keyamo-led Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace?
Okay, so before I start with rating Keyamo, we must understand that nobody can come into the aviation industry to perform any magic. Our issues are 10, 20 years, our deficit, whether
institutional.
Yeah, whether infrastructural deficit, from policy. We are so backward here, unfortunately. So Keyamo came in. I mean, he was very passionate and just went into work to try to fix some areas. One of the things that will go for him is the DERA, which is the Cape Town Convention, which allows Nigerian airlines to now dry lease. Dry lease, I mean, you can get an aircraft in. Before now, it was wet lease, okay, where they give you the crew, the maintenance, the insurance, and that is so much burden on the airlines, very capital intensive. But now, now the story, of course, is Nigerians defaulted on that Cape Town Convention. So lessors were now afraid to now dry lease, and whoever is doing that will do that at a very high premium. So it was killing the airlines. So kudos to Keyamo for making that happen, which was why Airpeace was able to dry lease an aircraft. Unfortunately, they are back to square one with this, them pulling it back. But that's a reprieve for the airlines. They can now dry lease. So that is one key thing that he was able to solve, which is great. And then, but I would want more from a government policy level, from taxation. These taxes are multi-taxation is killing the sector. I mean, and it's from government. All the government agencies are taxing. I think the government should look at how
NAMA, NCA, FAN,
everybody's taxing. I mean, they even for passengers, FAN takes I think it's $2,000 passenger service charge. For international passengers, it used to be $50, now $100. So they're just taxes everywhere. And if you look at the ticket pricing component, taxes and fuel goes up to 60-70%.
Wow.
And the airline just have 30 to 40% revenue.
When you buy the tickets.
Yeah, so people don't understand. So in that
300,000
ticket fare you see, they're thinking that this airline,
they're making money, yeah.
The airline is just taking maybe about 75,000 naira in the whole of that ticket. Everything goes to fuel surcharges, taxation, this and that. So that's what keeps these things high. So from policy side of things, a whole lot needs to be done for government to understand that aviation, again, we've said this over and over again, that is an economic catalyzer. It catalyzes the whole economy. So the more you let more people, allow more people to fly, the more it catalyzes
the ease of doing business.
And the ease of doing business, exactly.
I want us to look at, let's stick to tax. Just on Monday, the minister, talking about Festus Keyamo, was at an event. By the way, Nigeria celebrated 100 years in aviation. 100 long years in aviation. You've mentioned that our problem did not start today. So obviously in that 100 years, we can rather deduce if we've done well or we can do better. But while the minister was celebrating 100 years, he also mentioned that this tax issue needs to be solved by the government collectively. He mentioned the Ministry of Finance and other ministries that will need to come together. The question now is this something that can be done in a short while? Or is it a long term? Are we still going to project? Is it a projected
Do they have to go to the Senate?
Do we have to go through the entire process? Or is this something that can be done immediately? And experts like yourself and many others, is it high time that they all come together, have a tete-a-tete with the minister, sit down with him and his team and say, listen, let's pick 3 days and let's dissect the issues and let's get the solutions, especially on taxation?
Okay, thank you as we are still on taxation, but let me just piggyback a little bit. There's an organization called Airline Operators of Nigeria. But what we find out with that operation, I mean, I've been across Africa.
That's AON.
There's AON. When you go to South Africa, there's South African Operators of Southern Africa and then East Africa. They have a very robust organization, and they engage government, they get results. I'm not in Airfares, but I don't particularly think Airfares is pulling its weight. What I think is that a lot of their members individualize things. They go to the minister or go to the government to say,
fight their own
battles. So they don't have
collective bargaining
they don't have one point. So now coming to tax, when they were having this tax intervention and there were committee meetings in the Senate, people were saying, okay, these stakeholders in aviation should also be in the room to make a case for themselves. Apparently they did not, because again, there used to be no tax for aircraft, import of aircraft parts. Now they put tax on it, and that's another huge challenge. Okay, so we were left out of this whole tax conversation, and then we are going to bear the brunt. So again, which is the organization? I don't own an airline. The airline operators should be in the forefront of making sure that their own issues are solved, and then they're not always at the receiving end of any policy or framework that comes, because they are all struggling. All the airlines are struggling. They've been struggling for the longest time.
And when they struggle, I'm not doomsday sayer, it's just the next thing is terminal decline and they're gone. We have Harco, Chanchengi, Triax, Bellevue, Cabo Airlines. If you're even flying out of Lagos, there's an aircraft graveyard. If you look outside your window, you see it there. And it says a lot about Nigeria's aviation industry, about the business, about the business of it and the tough environment in which these airlines operate in. But looking at the business of aviation in general and the government's quest to diversify away from oil, this is a no-brainer given our geographical location. Nigeria should be an aviation hub. We're 7 hours from Europe and the Middle East, so traffic should really be going through Nigeria, but we don't seem to be harnessing it. What potentials lie in the aviation industry, and what can we do to be a global player?
Thank you for that, but let me just answer what Joe said about if this can be done in the next 2 years. The answer is no. They're just going to pass it to the next government, because
why no? It's not just to...
Yeah, but there are red tapes, there are bureaucratic, to do with government, to even get let's get Minister of Foreign Affairs, or like Kiyamo said, to get these guys to sit down and have that conversation is the challenge, okay? Everybody just running in silos. So that's why I said there has to be a holistic understanding of what we want to achieve, have some kind of blueprint, and follow through. Do we have a blueprint? I think someone said, they had a 20-year blueprint, but I don't know. Do we have a blueprint? Can we follow that blueprint, after successive governments, so that we can have incremental push, towards achieving our goal? So that's another one comes, we go back again, we're just, anyway. Now, to answer your question,
yes, if Ethiopia can do it, global aviation hub like Bole in Addis Ababa, why can't Lagos be
First of all, have to have discipline, okay? That's one of the challenges, have to have discipline. The Ethiopian airline is government-owned, but with total 100% private sector-driven initiative, no interference, okay? So when you have everybody doing their own work, Joe is not coming to my side, everybody knows what they are supposed to do per time. I think it works. There's clarity. There's so much ambiguity going on around us. And you're talking about making us a hub. I'll just put this out there because it's one of all the challenges. So imagine, we've all traveled out. When you have an international flight and you are connecting domestic, you just go down from that international, just go down the stairs and connect your domestic and go anywhere in the world. We see this, we know this.
You don't have to travel.
Why do I have to come after international? Like the guys that are going to come back, they're going to see hell, and they're not coming, they're going to connect, maybe they're connecting from, let's say, Lagos to Sokoto or Lagos to Edo. They now come down, follow that international...
go to general aviation terminal.
That traffic, that toll gate and all that stuff. Joe, if we can fix that, have a seamless connection from international to domestic, it will solve a whole lot of issues. And we have it. I don't know whatever you want to do. Do you want to connect a train from international? Because there's space.
There's space
internally. Do you want to do underground? Whatever you want to do. There should, and I don't know why it's taking this long. So Virgin Nigeria did that. Richard Branson came out with that model. I worked to Virgin Nigeria. We land from Heathrow, from Gatwick at Murtala International Airport. You connect immediately from that. Just move from one aircraft to another. You don't take your baggage, you don't take anything.
And then politics came in. They said, why would Virgin Nigeria be flying domestic airline, be flying from international? They had to force us to move to MM2. And the reason Traverse said, no, I can't do this. So we must be progressive in how we do things. We should not always be backward. So only that point, if government, whoever is listening, can start working on that to have a seamless facilitation. I think it falls on the table of FAN. The only FAN's job is to make sure that as a passenger, I should have a good experience passing through the airport. Finish. If I don't have a good experience passing through the airport, you have failed as an airport.
I mean, what's your job as a regulator in the first place? Yeah.
You come down, the smell and the heat just welcomes you. You are back. And you start saying, oh, what kind of problem is this? Well, I want to say thank you so much for helping us to dissect these issues. So then again, I'm sure our viewers and Nigerians now know why the prices are different, because even the airlines, like our guest here said, they are even struggling because it's tough, the taxations and every other thing. We hope that as we continue to advance in terms of our growth, maybe the minister would sit down with AON and stakeholders to discuss the way forward. He has said it already.
Yeah, and Toni should also be.
Oh yes.
Meeting,
By the way, Toni is going to facilitate something. I'm very sure of that. Very, very sure of that. Thank you so much, Toni, for
thank you for your time and expertise. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.